Welcome to week 10, mobile app portfolio 2. This is exciting. We're getting towards closing in on the end of our semester. This week, we're going to be talking about marketing. We're going to be talking about financials, small and medium-sized businesses. And, as you're growing your app and you're also growing your business, how do you manage that? How do you be successful? So, we're starting with marketing. Just some, quick little jokes to warm up for the day. Applying for a job at IKEA, make a chair and take a seat. Everyone knows that IKEA, you have to build their furniture. That's kind of something that they've done to make their products more affordable, is put the building part of the furniture on the customer instead of on the manufacturer. So not anything, nothing comes pre-assembled. So everyone who goes in that store and buys a box knows they have to assemble the furniture themselves. But it's kind of something that they've owned up to a little bit, and they use it as actually part of their marketing. They're like, yeah, we're doing it so it's cheaper for you, and then now it's kind of like this joke. So that's a funny one. And then this one, I'm not sure I understand this one too much, so we'll just move on from that. Okay, cool. So talking about marketing and customers, um, customers are the foundation of your business. You don't have a business without customers, without people who are going to be paying or giving money to you for a service or a product. So you can't get around that. Whether you sell directly to the customer, which is called B2P, business to person, or which is a deal with customers. Whether you either offer products or services, um, whether it's a one-person show or if it's like a multi-international conglomerate, your success or failure depends on your ability to attract and to retain customers. So that's where marketing comes in. So how do you get customers, or how do you refer or retain or attract customers? Well, referrals from other businesses are huge. Networking with other businesses and networking with people, friends, colleagues who could benefit your service. Having good reviews on Google or the App Store, simply asking yourself, if I was a customer, how would I feel about this? And, thinking like a customer to improve your own business. And then you should always make sure to keep the personal details and information regarding your leads and prospects safe. You don't want to offend your customers by any way, violating their trust. So you want to make sure you protect that relationship, and that if you have a lead on someone, you don't give it to another business and they take your client. Cool. So CRM, customer relationship management. It's probably a term that gets thrown around all the time, that you've heard about before, that maybe you know what it means, maybe you're not super sure what it means, but it's kind of what it sounds like: managing relationships with customers. If we just read it backwards, um, every relationship you have with a customer counts. So you don't want to you don't want to not manage your customers' relationships. So how do we do that? How do we manage them? Well, there's tons of tools and software to be able to do this. We've got email, contacts, phone lists, and you can straight up just be like texting your customers, having a relationship with them that way, mailing them on email. Post-it notes in Excel are great ways to track customers. I've used Excel personally a lot myself to have spreadsheets of, potential clients, very interested clients, and then current clients. And then you have all of their contact information, like phone numbers, email addresses, what they're interested in, what products and services they want or still may need. And then you phone them up and you do sales, right? And you maintain that relationship, and you keep track of who you know, and you want to stay relevant, right? So Excel is a great tool, and if you don't want to use Excel, you could put a bunch of post-it notes on your board and have like all the customers that are interested in your product and move them over to this side, and then you just keep working away. You chip away. It's really hard. I've worked at a startup and tried to do sales. It's really tough, but doing cold calls where you phone someone up out of nowhere and they can be pretty upset with you that you're taking time out of their busy day, and you want to try to say like, hey, I've got something you might be interested in, and they're just like, nope, not interested. Like, they don't care. But you call back every couple of weeks until you start to know a little bit of stuff about them. You make small talk. You can ask If you went into an office and some guy had a picture of their kid on his desk, you start asking about the kid. You could start asking about like what sports they're into and all that stuff. And those relationships help establish trust and rapport. And honestly, it's a huge way to be able to make a sale, is to get someone to trust you. So just being human and being able to talk to them about everyday kind of things. It's harder over the phone because you don't have those little tips or clues that you might see in someone's office that you can establish something in common. But these are great tools to be able to sort of manage and keep track of your customers. There's tons of applications that do this stuff too. Salesforce is probably the biggest one that you've heard of. It's a huge business. So many people use Salesforce, but there's other ones: Sugar, Batchbook, Contact Me, Microsoft Dynamics, all of that good stuff. So you don't need to use Excel. It's obviously more work if you use Excel, but yeah. These ones at the end here, they offer a little bit more features than Excel would. You'd have to really work hard to get them, but you could make it work with different spreadsheets. But you can track customer support with Salesforce, and you can track product support and shipments and all that kind of stuff through Salesforce. So they do have some added benefits. That's why so many companies choose to use them. Cool. So how do we make our customer into a sales prospect? Well, you want to know where you are with your customer. If you just talk to them for the first time, you know that you're not going to maybe make a sale or impact your financials right away. So how do we get our customers to that sales prospect, uh, you know, zone that we want them? Well, you got to track the transition of your prospects to customers. So you have prospects, which are people who are potential clients, and then you have customers who are, paying you. Link the customers that you already have to your financials and see, what's in common, what kind of people like our business, who should we continue to invest marketing in. If I'm in an app and then I started noticing that all my downloads were coming from a certain country and a certain age range, then I would be like, oh, I'm going to make that link, I'm going to make that connection that this demographic of age range, gender, location is a really good target audience to market towards because we're talking about marketing here, right? Cool. And some of you guys may have heard of KPIs, key performance indicators, all of that kind of stuff with sales and being able to track your customer leads. It's really important to be able to actually look at the numbers and break it down. So here's a little interesting graphic looking at the average website conversion rates. So we can see the highest there is professional and financial services. Obviously, most people need to do taxes. They pay people to look after their money. There's going to be a lot of conversions on those types of websites. Whereas if we look down at nonprofit at 2% versus 10%, not as many people maybe donate money or buy things from nonprofit organizations. It is kind of surprising to me that retail or e-commerce is as low as it is, because I would think Amazon, is like a retail or e-commerce, and there'd be so many transactions. But just kind of interesting to see the different categories here. So software conversion rates. So this is kind of a similar thing. Conversion meaning they converted from a prospect to a customer. So they've made a purchase. They're now a customer of yours. So the website conversion rate is only 7%. The lead to qualified op, so qualification rate, is the highest at 36, and then the qualified op to sale is pretty high as well, 27%. So let's talk about a couple of metrics. What are metrics? Metrics, when I say the word metrics, you may think of, I don't know, measuring a measuring cup or something, measuring something. That's kind of measure and metrics. Very similar kind of word. Standards of measurement by which we plan, process, or product can be assessed. So instead of measuring it with like a ruler, you might have a number or a key metric. And a key metric just means it's a really important measurement. So you have just metrics and then you'd have your key metrics. Metrics allow organizations and businesses to evaluate and improve the effectiveness and efficiency of their process. So, you may have seen those big reports with pie graphs on them and line charts and all of these kinds of things that the CEOs, get printed off and look at. It's like their weekly or quarterly report. They have all of those really important metrics. So it allows that CEO to look at that sheet and be like, oh, this was not as effective this month. Maybe we shouldn't be, pushing our swimsuit line during Christmas because no one's swimming. It's the middle of the winter, right? And obviously that's like a dramatic scenario, but there's maybe certain things that don't work at certain times of the year that you wouldn't necessarily be able to see with your bare eye, but once you look at the numbers and graph them out, then it's a lot easier to actually improve your organization. So, metrics that matter. They help us evaluate our company health, and health is in quotes because obviously it's not like a human body, but your company still has either, it's healthy or it's not performing well. Um, we can track performance, identify problems, predict the future almost. So that one's kind of cool because it uses a lot of historical analysis to give prediction. If every year around September, the company Staples that sells office supplies, they probably see a spike around, all of their school supplies because it's back to school season. And so Staples probably can predict next year how many items they need across stores across North America remain liquid enough for customers to come and go into the store, get what they need, and come out. Whereas maybe in February, March, April, Staples can also predict that it's a slower season and they don't need to restock their shelves as much. So those metrics help more than just sales, right? They help with things like, product placement, logistics, the supply chain, all of that kind of stuff. Um, but either way, they're very, very important. Cool. So KPIs, key performance indicators. I mentioned it a little bit earlier on a slide. KPI is a metric, but a metric is not necessarily a KPI, okay? So basically all a KPI is a really, really important metric, a key performance indicator. So it indicates your company's performance, um, shows the progress towards realizing the company's objectives by monitoring activities which, if not properly performed, would probably likely cause a severe loss or outright failure. So KPIs are like your most important metrics, but not all metrics are necessarily KPIs because you might have a metric that just measures phone calls per day and no one cares. That doesn't necessarily impact the success or failure of your business. Every organization can choose or set their own KPIs, what they want to track, what you need to know in order to be successful, um, towards realizing your company's objective. So, yeah. Continuing on with key performance indicators, some examples of being able to track these: SaaS, um, lifetime value, customer retention and churn rate, user experience and ratings, average page views, and time on site. Those are all examples of what a key performance indicator could be. For employees, it could be employee satisfaction could be a key performance indicator. Within business and marketing, your customer lifetime value, so how long a customer stays with you, or customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost to bring on a new customer? How much money do you have to put into someone before they start paying you? How much money do we have to spend on marketing and all of this before we get a customer conversion? Operations and finance, they might want to be more interested in looking at day sales outstanding or burn rate and runway. Um, you know, when are we profitable? When do we run out of cash? When do we need to raise? The churn rate is how well do we retain our customers, or do they just come and then go? So all of those things, and there's way more than this. This is just some examples, are examples of key performance indicators. All right, so let's look at this little example. Consider that acquiring a customer is like fishing. You might go fishing in the AdWords ocean, so to say, Facebook River, or Lake Microsoft. Under a cost minimization strategy, the result of your strategy might look like this. So either AdWords, Facebook, Microsoft, and to spend the money on the marketing before you actually get a customer, if we go to Microsoft and we spend 250 bucks on marketing or ads or whatever on their Microsoft store, let's say, and we get 25 customers, our customer acquisition cost, okay, so price per customer, we spend $10 to get one customer. So that's how we get 10. Here, the Facebook page, we're spending $150 to get 50 customers. So we just do 150 divided by 50. How many times does 50 go into 150? Three times. So $3 customer acquisition cost. And then obviously add that's cheap acquisition cost or cost per acquisition. Cool. So let's continue looking. You might think that AdWords Ocean is the best because it gets you customers for the lowest cost, but looking at customer acquisition cost is only half the equation. We also need to consider that the lifetime revenue of customers from each of these channels might be different. So customer lifetime revenue is how much money or revenue you make from a customer over the lifetime of them being a customer at your business. So your customer acquisition cost is the cheapest for AdWords, but let's look at the revenue. What do you actually make? Well, they pay $1,000. Okay, Facebook you get 1,500, and Microsoft gets us 2,500, right? So this one we're making the most money, 2,500. Even though we only have 25 customers, we're making the most money here. Now look at that profit. So we take this and we subtract our total spend on marketing, and that's what you're running away with. So you actually make the least amount of money on the AdWords, right? You're only spending 100 bucks, but you're only making 1,000. So you're only making $900. Obviously, if we doubled this to make it match the 200, then you'd assume we would get double the revenue, and then we'd be at 1,800, which would be better than Facebook's, but still maybe might not be as good as Microsoft's. Okay, so let's talk about marketing. What is marketing? What kind of things fall under marketing, right? So there's different branches that we can think about, and that's kind of what this diagram is showing in our go-to market sort of thing. Here, we're going to be, they're all going to be marketing. What do you want your customer to know? Well, you want to know the price, okay? You want to know if there's any promotions. You want to know if there's, certain channels you want to market through to specific people. There's direct marketing. There's marketing through Salesforce, through the web, all of that kind of stuff. So let's look at some examples, some fun examples of marketing. Just break it up a little bit, have a laugh. So here's Chick-fil-A's ad, and they've got some cows up on the billboard painting, "Eat more chicken." And obviously Chick-fil-A is a chicken restaurant, so them having cows up painting a sign is just like a funny joke. That might actually make some conversions. And then here's another one, IKEA again. IKEA saying, come check out our stool samples. Obviously, they've got pictures of stool here, but stool samples is a commonly used word, quite often found in doctors' offices when they're doing, stool collection, which is gross. And then here's Starbucks. They've got the door slid back on this van, and so it just says sucks. It's kind of funny. All right, so what's the purpose of marketing? To build awareness for our company, to create a strong brand and image, effectively communicate our value and proposition to the customers. We want to build channels to potential customers. We want to have those relationships and get more leads. So early marketing. We want to talk to people. You want to just get out there. You want to talk as much as you can about what you've got to offer. How do they react to your business idea when you tell them about it? Did they ask you for more information? Did they actually show genuine interest, or did they not care? They're just listening politely. When you talk to people, pay attention to the following. Is it interactive, or are you just talking back and forth between you and the nothing there, and they're just waiting for you to hang up the phone so they can get their time back. So just pay attention. You got to be able to play that conversation back and forth, almost like, I throw you a bone to work with in the conversation piece. You chew on it a little bit, you say your piece, whatever, and then you throw me a bone back, and we have this back and forth conversation. You can't be talking at them. You mostly have to listen. And that's actually the best part, because if you're just having to listen, it's a lot easier for you uh, in terms of marketing or, sales, because they're going to tell you what they want. And so you don't have to try and guess or pretend in order to make the sale. You can just tell them what they want to hear, obviously, and then make it happen. With what they want to hear and what they want sold to them, is that something you offer? Is that something that you can solve any of the problems that they're listing? If it's not, then you just say, maybe this is not best for us. But if you do have a solution that works for them, then you can start working on your sales. Here's what you measure. How many people want you to keep them updated about your startup? How many people want you to be telling them what's going on with your business? How many of them are willing to meet with you to find out more? How many of them are helping you by spreading the word about your startup? That's how you can tell how invested people are. Pre-sales is one of the best startup metrics. So you might ask yourself, how can I sell something that I don't have yet? Well, it happens all the time. You have something, you have a business idea. Can you get others to believe in your business idea? If they really believe in you, then maybe they'll buy it before you even make it, right? So think of Kickstarter. Kickstarter, everybody uh, doesn't necessarily get anything right away, but they donate money. So I before it's a crowdfunding platform, and if you hit the goal, then you know that that business is going to come through and give you what they've promised. And so they've got video games on there. They've got things that are going to come out in 2 years. I just recently saw a dash cam that's like a 4K inside outside dash cam for your car that you can like remove and place in other places. And they raised like over $2 million, but the dash cam hasn't actually been sold to anyone yet. They just raised the money and they've got the funding, obviously because people really believe in their product and people want to buy it before it's even available. What do you mean no in the chat? Which specific point are you talking about? Oh, no worries. It's a mistake, he says. Okay, so here's what we measure. How many people are willing to pay you before you actually have a product? So look at Kickstarter and Indiegogo. They're great examples of this, and you can do this on your own. You don't need Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Obviously, you can choose which platform you use. But if you have an actual product or service, how many people are actually willing to pay before it exists? And that's how you can understand if you have a good product or a good idea or a good business model. Find out what works. So the best way to do this is through your conversion rate. So your conversion rate is just like a little equation or formula that we have to measure um, the outcomes that we have divided by unique visitors or meetings or phone calls. So how successful is something? Positive conversions, say I make 10 conversions, 10 sales, and I had to call 100 people to do that. Well, then my conversion rate's 10 because for every 10 phone calls, I get one customer. Cool. So, what are marketing? Like, it's never this. Well, you could get leads. You could get some sale leads on people. And a lead, all a lead is just like someone's information that might be interested in your product, right? They're maybe not buying it right now, but they're on the fence. Prospects, same kind of thing. They're like a little bit more than a lead. They're interested. They told you they're interested. They know what they want. They just haven't actually paid you any money. Sales, where they actually do pay you the money and they've converted. Downloads, demos, signups, emails, visitors, bounce rate, Facebook likes, Twitter followers. All of that stuff is a great possible outcome for early marketing. So if you do have a business, if you do have an idea, start marketing. There's nothing that's negative to starting to do that. Okay, so let's look at this. Network effectively. This is the first step in early marketing. When you network with people, go out, meet them, talk to them, have conversations, network effectively. Talk about, people who are potential customers. Talk to people in your industry. Don't go to a networking event that's not even in your lane. Um, if you're in travel, don't go to a networking event about food. Stick to travel. I guess potentially food could be part of travel, but it's not that closely related. Talk to your peers, talk to potential investors and funders, talk to your friends and family, get referrals to, their networks. There's a lot of people that that you don't know what their connections are until you start talking. And then you start realizing like, wow, this person, he knows the CEO of this, and my other friend knows the CEO of that. And all of a sudden your spread and your network just reaches so much further. Your network is so important. Customer referrals, if you have customers already, um, getting really good credibility from prospects since you're well recommended from someone they know and trust, right? That's huge. Cross promotion and co marketing. So having an alliance with a complementary each other's products and services for any number of other mutually beneficial activities. So maybe there's another company out there and they offer some service for something that is not going to impact my sales. That's not going to take customers away from me. So I'm not working with competition on this. But you have a customer that, I see lots of restaurants down in Barrie that have partnered with Donuts. And it's a donut shop. So they're not going to take sales away from their food, right? If there's a pizza joint, I'm going there to get pizza. But then they've got this co-marketing or cross-promotion strategy with Donuts, where Donuts has, some donut boxes in the back of the store at pizza. And when I go get my pizza, I'm like, huh, it'd be nice to have a donut after. And then I don't even have to travel to the Donuts store. I just like that, they've made a conversion, they've made a sale. I've now tried something from a place that I already know I like, which is pizza. And if I already like the pizza from there, okay, and then I'm just gonna try the donuts. I'm gonna trust them because I already know I like the food, right? So if they're partnering with another business, it must be, similar values, similar food quality, and so then now all of a sudden I like donuts, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is create leverage and internet presence. So your social media, website, landing page, blogs, groups, search engine optimization, all of that stuff. Pay per click, ads, communities of interest. Online strategies take time and they're ongoing. There's no quick fix. You have to put in the time and put in the work for it. For your website, you want it to be easy to navigate. Okay, you don't want it to just be launched the second you have a customer that's just going to go use it. Demos, testimonials, reviews. People love that stuff. Something like 90% of customers go to Google search first. You need to be the page one on Google search page. Okay. That's SEO. That's why it's really important. Then LinkedIn. Think about LinkedIn. Higher conversion rates are actually on LinkedIn than Twitter or Facebook. Traffic from LinkedIn generates the highest visitor to lead conversion rate, 2.74%, almost 3 times higher than Twitter or Facebook, 69.69% or 0.77%. Okay. LinkedIn has a high percentage of professionals. So the likelihood, especially for business to business marketers, that you're dealing with in people for your target audience is higher than some other channels. So LinkedIn is really good to set up. If you don't have a profile set up on LinkedIn, go for it. I'm on LinkedIn. You can add me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn groups are organized around the concerns and challenges faced by many buyers in a geographic location and profession. So it's really easy to contextualize or group together what your potential buyers are talking about and, tailor your content towards the LinkedIn company pages accordingly to what you've learned. Be careful not to lead with hard sell, so what that means is jumping right into it and kind of like shoving your product down their throat. Don't be so intense with it. Instead, focus on creating relevant content that's highly shareable and relevant to potential buyers, right? Infographics, quick tips, examples of success from executives in their industry are all great examples of how to interact on LinkedIn groups to drive leads and inspire engagement. And then the third one, obviously, is communicate expertise. Speak at trade shows, conferences, industry events, publish. So I have a startup that I've been a part of, and my friend, it's his main thing. He just went to a business conference down in that sort of category of business, and really good to rub elbows with or bump shoulders with those types of people. And you never know who you're going to meet. You never know if they're going to be interested in what you have and who they might know. So that networking is huge. You know, tech buyers consume an average of 14 pieces of online content before buying a decision. Other consumers only consume 8 to 10. So useful content to know if you're ever preparing information for stuff like that. Avoid selling, but try to gain their trust by offering prospects helpful information um, with their business. Blogs, white papers, ebooks, webinars, case studies, or demos. Okay, cool. Number 4, early marketing activities. Another step we can do is make it easy. Okay, be responsive. Contact information on every website page and marketing piece. So you want to be available. You want to have contact pages, simple navigation, simple email addresses and URLs. Don't make it complicated. You want to make the sale. You don't want them to have to like dig out their address book to remember what your name was. Okay, so you can't predict where people are going and if they're going to come to your website, but you can have a contact me on every single page to make it easier to connect if they want to connect with you that second. Remember, if they contact you, they're being activated, which means they're now interested in your product. Provide options for contact, make it easy. Have a live chat. That's really nice for customers to feel that validation and have someone right away. And people like that no risk of being stuck on the phone with a pushy salesperson. So live chat's actually really nice. You can even get those little robots that do it for you. Okay, so let's look at market and know that you're going to market towards. We've talked about early marketing activities and how to, start some of those things for marketing. Now let's talk about understanding the market. Well, the library here at Georgian College is literally going to be your best friend for this. There's so many resources. So this is just a screenshot of the website when you log into the library. They have stuff on Canadian business and current affairs, Canadian Reference Center, Small Business Collection, and much, much more if you want to know. So, Conference Board of Canada, they have applied research on Canadian trade and industry economics. So, here we've got Gildan Activewear, Canada Goose Holdings, and the revenue in millions from those companies. And, here it's obviously put out by region in a share of each Canadian GDP percent. And you can get this kind of information from the library to understand your competition. If you were trying to make a clothing company, um, then here you'd understand, Gildan is your most uh, probably scary competitor because they're making like millions upon millions above the next client. Cool. So there's a database that you can search through the library, Canadian businesses, to find accurate phone verified information on each business. So if you want to make business to business partnerships or get a client or a lead from someone else who has a similar business, you can search through the U.S. and the Canadian 1.9 million businesses that you can search through. Cool. Something to keep in mind with customer types is age, gender, location, income, education, all of those different demographics to sort of, target your marketing. And then within industries and businesses, same thing, location, but size, it's a big business, small business, the quality, technology, what do they use to, pricing, what kind of business or vibe does that business give off? Is it a small family run coffee shop, or is it this big corporate, whatever, they don't care about their employees, they're just there to make money kind of thing, right? Um, you can use this thing called ComScore, which shows you the users of social media online by age groups. So if you wanted to market towards people on Snapchat or Facebook, but you weren't sure which one to market towards based on what you want for your app, you could go onto this thing called ComScore, and it helps people who are advertisers who are looking for specific social media platforms for advertising. So here, I can obviously Snapchat. There's more males, a little bit, and the age range for Snapchat, there's more males, especially in the age range of 25 to 34, 25%. Okay, whereas Facebook, you can kind of see right towards the 40, 50-year-old area, that's where it's actually the highest for males. For females, it's actually 2 to 17, I think is probably the highest, but 40-year-olds are the highest in Facebook. So, if I have a younger audience that I'm trying to target, maybe Snapchat's the way that I would go with this situation. Where if I have an older audience, maybe I choose to advertise on Facebook. Simply Analytics is really good for mapping, analytics, and data visualization. You can create interactive maps and reports, and you can determine thousands of demographics, and it helps you with your business and your marketing variables. So let's take a look at some of the stuff made with Simply Analytics. So here's Barrie area, here's Dunlop Street in Kempenfelt Bay, and here what I'm able to see is occupied private dwellings by period of construction. So occupied private dwellings lived in, and it gives me a number based on the year. So like houses that are lived in that were built before 1960, 190, um, and then the amount of people that live in them, 8,000. Okay, 1960 to 1980, 280. We can see the bulk of homes here, 1981 to 1990. There's 300. That's the spike, and then it goes back down to 120, then 10, then 80, and then if you look at this huge spike, occupied private dwellings by dwelling condition. So they've obviously, taken these things again and divided them out. Only regular maintenance or major repairs needed. And obviously, regular maintenance is the highest one. So that one's a little bit more tricky to understand. Here's one that's like a heat map of households by income. This is a little easier. Same app, Simply Analytics. This is at the Wasaga Beach area, provincial park, with the Nottawasaga River there coming out. Maybe you've gone to Wasaga Beach before. Collingwood's just up here. So the darker the red color, the higher the income. So we can see over here down in this area, they make on average 112,000 to 1,065,000 per year, whereas these white areas make 0 to 40,000 per year, which is kind of interesting. So you can kind of see your demographic, like what what would you call that? Not poverty level, but like what income level your customers are currently at, right? Kind of cool. So there's some really powerful consumer household information that you can get through these apps. Here's the same numbers through Wasaga Beach in Canada for household populations 25 to 64 years by educational attainment. So like their education level and like what they earn. Just some really more interesting maps here. Retirees, kind of funny. So there's also market intelligence research reports, MARS, this Discovery District. So educators, researchers, social science scientists, entrepreneurs, and businesses experts under one roof. So if you use Mars DD, Mars Discovery District, you have access to all of those kind of avenues. Market intelligence, research reports, expert analysis, intelligence databases, access to market intelligence, your business must align with the key sectors, so clean tech, fintech, health, or enterprise for you to be a part of it. But if it does, then that's a really good thing for you to be a part of. Here's a bunch of other things that you can look at for market research sources. So MarketLine, Conference Board of Canada, ComScore, Simply Analytics, we talked about, Mars, if you're part of those groups of companies, Statistics Canada, Strategis, financial performance data, um, obviously going down through blogs, departments and agencies, government websites often show population and geographic specific data. If you want to get more demographic stuff, company websites, kind of maybe give you a bias a little bit, but they still give you access to news releases and contact information if you want to try to get a hold of someone at that company. Because it's hard. It's hard to get people's contact information. They don't want you to know what the CEO's email is because he would just be getting spam emails all the time. So it's hard to figure it out. Um, so look at the company website, look at blogs, organizational institutions, professional associations. Having a known bias, obviously, at these kinds of sources, but uh, still great info that you can get there. Memberships may be required. Open access content's available for everyone. Social media, YouTube, Facebook, they're not academic sources, but they might point you to an academic source. It helps you also indicate trends. Search engines are really good to use the web and find out information for your business and marketing. And then obviously try to avoid distractions. So, last little slide to end on here, not super related, but if you're building a business, you want to be able to stay focused, and that's really important. So, number one, don't let your inbox take over your to-do list for the day. And I have been so guilty of this all the time. I have a to-do list. I have, literally right here is like a list of 8 things that I have on my to-do list. And I'll sit down at the computer in the morning, I have my coffee, I'm ready to go. I'm like, today's gonna be a good day. We're gonna finish so many things. And then you open your email and you can spend an hour, 2 hours answering emails. And you haven't even checked off anything on your list. So don't let your inbox or your emails take over. Stay focused on what you actually need to get done. That's the most important. The emails you will eventually get to, trust me. So don't prioritize them more than they need to be. I know it's like addicting a little bit because it feels so good to have a clean inbox, but don't let it. Create time blocks. So I've done this before and I loved it and I probably should do it again. I divided my day up into 15-minute increments. And it wasn't necessarily like at the beginning of the day I knew what I would do at 12:15 to 12:30, 12:30 to 12:45, but I would just pay attention as time went on through the day. So right now it's 10 o'clock, and I would say for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to work on this one thing. And you just divide it into small sections. So if you're working on your project and you say, for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to work on that presentation or that PowerPoint. You stay so, and then you think, you ask yourself, is there more that I can do on this? Can I continue staying focused or should I move to something else? And if you can continue staying focused, then you say, okay, for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to continue to focus and really hammer out a couple more slides and improve the quality of this PowerPoint. So you focus for another 15 minutes. And then now maybe it's 10:30 and you ask yourself the same question. Maybe you're finished the PowerPoint now, and now you ask, what do I want to focus on for these next 15 minutes? And that could be like, I can answer as many emails as I can. 15 minutes, done, cut it off. So create those time blocks, compartmentalize, spend an hour before the workday sending out emails, and then don't look at emails until everything, for your day is completed. 4, take steps towards one big goal. So dividing into smaller chunks again, some similar ideas here. Meet your goals head on, embrace the challenges and learn from the failures. Don't get discouraged, right? It can be tough trying to start a business and marketing, your project, but don't get discouraged. Learn from your mistakes. Put your phone away. That's a huge one. My phone is a huge distraction to me and stops me from getting a lot of my work done, and I should really put it away. And sometimes I just leave it in the other room so I can just focus on my stuff here. Unfortunately, it's way too easy to go onto a website and use, apps to communicate through your phone, even though it's in the other room. You can still send texts from your computer through your phone. So, just putting those applications away. Tackle big things first thing. Okay, so get the things off your plate first thing in the morning that are the must to dos. So I heard a quote that was like, um, often the most important things that you need to get done, they're not necessarily the biggest things, but if you get the most important things done first, you'll feel the best. Something like that. And it's an interesting way to think about it. So you need to prioritize the biggest thing for me to get done. Often people think, with a project, they need to do like the biggest task first. The biggest isn't often the most important. Sometimes the most important can be something else, and if you get that out of the way, then it allows other things to flow more smoothly. 8, do activities where you aren't thinking about work. So, break it up, go for a walk, freshen your mind, get some fresh air. Practice saying not now or not no, but saying not now to people who want your time. So just be like, not now, I got, something else to do. I got to work on this, whatever. And then don't chase every opportunity. I'm guilty of this too. I get interested in so many things. I have a wide array of things that I love to do for hobbies, and it can be really distracting to be into, music at the same time as cars, at the same time as photography, and you're like, what do I focus on? So don't chase every opportunity. Have one thing you're really good at. I know that's really hard. For me, that makes me really upset because I have so many things that I like to do and that I find enjoyment in. But if you just have one thing you focus on, then you're going to be really, really good at that one thing when you compare yourself to other businesses. And so you'll be the one that stands out. Whereas if you just try to be okay at a lot of things, then all of your stuff will just be average and you won't have anything that you're really good at. So um, those are some really great tips for staying focused. That's it for this PowerPoint on marketing. I'm going to end this recording here, and then we're going to do some presentations.